Hello, I welcome everyone who joined us. My name is Olga Tomanova, and I'm glad to welcome you in the Ukraine Media Center today. We invited today the researchers of the adaptive sports and their influence and its influence on military service personnel and veterans. This is one of its kind, the first of its kind study in Ukraine, and its aim is to rehabilitate the servicemen, the PTSD and the depression, and to return to the routine everyday life. The specificity of this study was that it was done on the base of 3 centers. It was Lisova, Poliana, Ivano-Frankivsk, and Bodra Clinic in Novovolynsk. In the course of 3 months, the participants underwent a course of rehabilitation jointly with sports activities, doctors and trainers and psychologists. We will be talking about what conclusions we can draw from this study. I would like to present to you our speakers, Hanna Bielorusova, director at the Center for Strategic Communications, StratCom Ukraine, Ruslan Prihodko, deputy head of the Veteran Affairs Organization, Alina Sarnatska, researcher. She joined us online. We have Ihor Salii, veteran participant in international adaptive sports competitions, Vitalina Pushkar, representative of Lisova Poliana Mental Health and Rehabilitation Center for Veterans in Kiev, Oksana Horbach, online director of the Invictus Games Ukraine NGO, officer in the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and Oleh Duchyminskyi, archery coach online, and Kateryna, Zahorodnia, head of the Center for Physical and Rehabilitation Medicine, Ivano-Frankivsk Regional Council, Regional Clinical Hospital, and Serhiy Krzyzanowski, the deputy head of Bodra Clinic. Thank you for joining us today in discussion of this, of course, without doubt, important study. What were the goals of this study? What is its uniqueness? Hello, everyone. Before I start talking about this study, I would like to announce minute of silence, especially Taras Shpak, Taras Shpak, who was a trainer, a basketball trainer in adaptive sports. He died last week. We're dedicating this. I would like to add that in the end of the event, we will be showing a QR code. It will be a match by the game of the Resilient. It will be also dedicated to Taras Shevchenko. Starting the 2014 war and the full-scale invasion in 2022, the psychological rehabilitation of veterans has become a critical necessity. However, taking into account the load onto the rehabilitation programs and the demand for these programs among the military servicemen, the system of rehabilitation didn't have enough influence on the psycho-emotional state of the military servicemen before, because it was focusing on short-term programs. Our experience Invictus games or games of the unyielded and they show that they are stabilizing the psycho-emotional state, and they also provide the sympathy emotion for the veterans and the active types of sports. We are joining it with this physical therapy, psychosocial support, with other types of the rehabilitation procedures. We did it in order to see how exactly the adaptive sports is enhancing the rehabilitation processes. As it was said already, it was done on the basis of 3 clinics, and it's included archery and training devices. I would like to thank our partners and the Embassy of the USA for the support of this project. We have a representative of the embassy here today with us. I would like to thank them, and I would like to thank our researchers who developed the methodology, to our workers, to our clinics, Lisova, Poliana, Center of Rehabilitation in Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast clinic, and we believe that the adaptive sports types of rehabilitation will provide a new model that will be possible to implement in different regions of Ukraine and in different clinics. This research has become possible thanks to Ms. Horbach, who is the author of this project, and she was the head of the games of the Unyielded before, and this research is thank you everyone again, and let's start. Miss Oksana, question for you. You are an inspiration for this study. What were the challenges of implementation of the adaptive sports in the state's system of rehabilitation? Why is it important? Because we understand that the active military service woman is seeing these things directly. Thank you. So, from the point of view of military service, I'm more a paratrooper, and I am following up the veterans that are undergoing the rehabilitation programs, and one of the challenges is that we need the restoration and the rehabilitation. We cannot be talking about the periods of rehabilitation except for the cases with amputations. So we're mostly talking about the paratraumas and psychological traumas, or light wounds, light injuries, and they need rehabilitation as well, the same way as the difficult injured veterans do. So, because the atmosphere at the front lines influences all the military servicemen without doubt. And if we're talking about the traumas that the military servicemen are receiving during combat, so we understand that normal rehabilitation, traditional rehabilitation, doesn't work for them. So the question of reintegration of the military servicemen who sustained injuries, how can we implement the sports, adaptive sports, in the rehabilitation processes for our military servicemen, and this is what the challenge was. We didn't do it before, and we don't have basically the data, and our work was focusing on trying to understand if the adaptive types of sports really do influence positively on the process of rehabilitation. And yes, we confirmed it. It does enhance the rehabilitation processes and its psychosocial aspect too. So the sport rehabilitation and the medicine, traditional medicine at the same time should be integrated into one joint course for the rehabilitation, and this way we can measure, so to speak, the effectiveness of the rehabilitation programs that are designed for our injured military servicemen. We were thinking about archery because this is something that is a kind of transitional between the combat activities and the peaceful life, and it reminded me also of the meditative activities a lot, and when we conducted the games of the resilient, we saw that different types of injuries, both physical and psychological, those people who sustained such injuries, they really felt the effects of the adaptive sport implementation in the rehabilitation program, and it allows us to adapt the existing programs for our military servicemen who sustained injuries, and further down the road, we wanted to integrate these programs into those programs that do exist already, however, without changing them or influencing their effectiveness that was already in place. So we were taking, arranging for rehabilitation. Different types of rehabilitation, depending on the condition of this or that military serviceman. And what we saw that different sports types affected the program, the rehabilitation program, and thanks to separating the control group and the group of study, we could see the actual difference in rehabilitation programs. And today we will hear and see how exactly this manifests. So we will see the proof of the fact that these changes, these enhancements, they really do work, and we will see how exactly the condition of the patients is changing due to the implementation of those adaptive sports in the rehabilitation programs. We will see scientific proofs that these things are working, and this will allow us to integrate and implement these things in the existing programs for rehabilitation of the military servicemen. And we need, and my personal belief is that we need to actively work on this more. So a short question for Mr. Ruslan, for you. As Oksana said, that we understood, based on our personal stories, that the rehabilitation through sport is working. So this ground, this basis, this sport base, will it be able to change those programs that are already implemented? Hello, everyone, first of all, and my military welcome to everyone. And when I was given the task of developing new programs for rehabilitation, and our ministry had to be positioned first in the general system of that already existed. And if you visit our Facebook page, you will see that we're emphasizing on the fact that the sport, we don't see the sport as a separate element of the system. And this is a really cool study in terms of requested information. This is a very important instrument for us, a tool of rehabilitation and reintegration down the road. And the most difficult thing was the motivation of a person, and the work with motivation of a person, and any kind of programs or events, state events that are affecting the rehabilitation process. They didn't always provide the expected effect, and all the instruments that are implemented, that were implemented in the programs of rehabilitation for the military servicemen that return from the front lines. And thanks to the implementation of adaptive sports, we could see basically a amplification of the rehabilitation program's efficiency, and already 144,000 veterans are using our program, and we already managed to process around 50,000 veterans. Last year it was 11 national level events, and now it's 76 only starting this year, and a few groups, a few teams are already taking part in the international competition, and I was an organizer of this competition. It's all of this is really does bring positive emotions to me, and because I see the number of the veterans that are interested in this, and the year to year the numbers are really substantially different, and what I saw when I visited our veterans, they were playing golf in a very picturesque place, location, and they were playing golf basically with missing limbs. The veterans who lost their limbs were playing golf, but the question arises: what's next? People who are working with a veteran, who are those people? What skills do they have? What experience do they have? For example, we have a injured veteran coming back from the front line. They have, for example, a spinal cord injury. So fitness trainer that will be working with them, do they understand what load or what program should be implemented towards them, to the veterans, and so all these components, in my opinion, and thanks to this study, I have a picture of what in my mind of how it's supposed to be working now, and it happened in a timely manner, so to speak. I'm thankful for this study because it gives us the basis to develop the system, a integrated system that will include infrastructure and resources, and the main thing, the people who will be in possession of necessary skills, who will be accordingly trained, who I'm already negotiating with big partners, international organizations, and I'm discussing a creation of this system in an active manner. So and everybody is involved, really involved in this process, and I hope hope that we will just be accelerating from this point on. This system and the work, this component will give us the possibility to develop different components of the system of rehabilitation for the people that the prosthetic limb users, the restructuring their places of living. This adaptive sport component gives us a opportunity to further develop scientifically the programs of rehabilitation. We need to understand that we had a lot of tasks, but we don't have a lot of resources. That's why we need to efficiently implement these programs and intelligently use the resources. I propose to start with the study itself. Ms. Iryna, let's talk about the methodology and the conclusions. Thank you. So the goal of our study was, this was the first scientific study of the influence of adaptive types of sports and its influence on the everyday lives of the veterans. So the first portion is descriptive, however, is important. The conditions for participation. For our participants was the recommendation of a doctor for such program, for such training, and the agreement on the part of the participants themselves. So they had the right to stop the study. There were a few participants that stopped participating in but among the 270 people, it was only 2 or 3 people. Our tasks, our goals was the study of multidisciplinary approach in the rehabilitation programs and collection of data about the physical and psychological condition of the participants of the pilot project on different stages. And also to conduct the analysis and evaluation of the results of the physical and psychological health of participants. And then on the basis of the study, we were aiming at developing new ways of rehabilitation. We had 3 establishments with different approaches to the rehabilitation. It's a state establishment Lisova Poliana in Kiev, the clinic in Ivano-Frankivsk, and the Novovolynsk clinic as well. So the collective of the people that underwent the study were the veterans who sustained injuries in the during the combat activities and required rehabilitation in these clinics. So the Ivano-Frankivsk clinic was full set. They took 128 people. Bodra clinic only 21. Everyone was separated into 4 groups. First group was the control group. These people only received a course of rehabilitation that they received from their doctors. So this was the programs that would be implemented if our program didn't exist. So first group was the Archery group, twice a week. I'm sorry, 4 times a week. Third group were the training machines, sport training machines, basically gym devices, and it was basically 2-3 times a week. We had 277 people sampling of for a study. We were asking them to fill out the interrogation lists, unfortunately, 21 people in Badyori clinic was not enough to start doing a meaningful study. We had. Apart from that, we had 7 trainers, 6 people of medical personnel, and 3 administrators from those clinics. We wanted to also get their opinions and views on these programs and what they think of the implementation of new approach to the rehabilitation, and what was their evaluation of the results of the rehabilitation. The conclusions, the results of our study, 255 personnel the distribution of respondents by age, as you can see, the first clinics, they had as an input, they had similarly aged patients. The diagnosis for the patients were different, and they were in the field of such injuries as amputations, arthritis, burns, fractures, head traumas, and other physical traumas and injuries. And we had only 2 or 2.5% of participants not willing to undergo this study. We had diagnosis that was adaptation incapacity, inability of adaptation, inability for adaptation, and all the participants in the beginning of their rehabilitation and after it and after the course, they filled out the interrogation brochures with the help of their doctors, and the questions was about their personal evaluation of their own physical health and other parameters. The low quality of life at the basis interrogation is much higher at the initial interrogation, and secondary interrogation shows the decrease of the complaints about the low level of quality of life. We can see the clinic Poliana, Lisova, Poliana. We are basically observing the same picture, and the quantity of low level of quality of life becomes a sufficient quality of life in the output. So you can see basically the transformation of the quality of life. It's increased 3 times, and you can see that in the Oblast clinic it's decreased 3 times. Lisova, Poliana, the picture is the same, and after rehabilitation the participants evaluate their own health condition, and they are evaluating it as very good. the evaluation of social connections is a very important parameter for how the participants are perceiving their environment, how they feel themselves, how they evaluate their relationships within the society. And as we can see, it was more critical in the oblast clinics, in the central clinic, and you can see how it increased during the secondary interrogation. The same picture we can observe in the Lisova Poliana clinic. The participants highly evaluated their social connections and its increase of its quality after the rehabilitation. The evaluation of the environment, the way that the participants are feeling themselves within the environment, how adapted they are. During the initial interrogation, you can see it's barely sufficient quality of life, and after the rehabilitation, it is increased 3 times. Same picture for the Lisova Poliana clinic. And the next scale that we interrogated our respondents, this is a scale of gravity of depression symptoms. And as we can see on the basis interrogation, the patients of the central clinic in Ivano-Frankivsk, they had a depression of a light depression, overwhelming, and after the secondary interrogation, we can see it's almost gone. Lisova Poliana clinic, they had more patients with the depression of average level and also high-level depression. However, after just a few weeks of rehabilitation, they are transitioning into the category light depression category. And post-PTSD patients that were in the central clinic, they were less prone to such symptoms. However, you can see that after the secondary interrogation, those symptoms were found in the majority of the patients. As you can see in the Lisova Poliana clinic, more than half of patients showed the symptoms of the PTSD, and but the situation has improved after the rehabilitation program. As you can see, after the concussion and the neurological and behavioral symptoms, they had high level of symptoms. Those people that had high level of symptoms, they transitioned to the category of a low level symptoms group, and we can conclude that the rehabilitation program is influencing the efficiency of the rehabilitation program is improved. And you can see in the Lisova Poliana clinic also basically the same low level manifestation of the symptoms of PTSD. And here we can see the parameters in different groups and which categories sustained the best improvement, had the best improvement, and we can see here that almost all symptoms, diseases, the symptoms improved in almost all categories. This is Lisova Poliana. Just a second. We had one general slide for understanding. However, it's okay. Let's talk about separately about the clinics. The first group had the improvement of health of the respondents, the people who only received traditional course of rehabilitation from their doctors. They improved their state of life, quality of life, and their symptoms were also improved as well. However, such indicators as behavioral symptoms, neurological patients, they were much higher than those groups that were doing the adaptive types of sports with archery and rowing sports, and you can see the improvement in physical and psychological health. And the adaptation to the environment was better in those groups specifically that were added the adaptive types of sports, and especially the group that had the rowing training device and archery. So we conclude that the adaptive types of sports are improving the rehabilitation. They influence both the physical and psychological health of respondents. And in general, the wish and the motivation for the study on the part of the patients showed us that it is quite possible to involve them, to engage them in these programs, and the better perception of the environment and the interviews and discussions that we had with the personnel of the clinics, with the doctors, with the administrators. They demonstrate a big motivation of the personnel, that the personnel is ready to look for solutions, to find premises for training gyms in order to improve their own psychological and physical health. Ms. Iryna, do we understand correctly that those groups show the best results? Yes. And another researcher, Ms. Alina, maybe you wanted to add something. Thank you very much to Ms. Iryna for the presentation. She presented all our results. I would like to only add, I am a veteran, and I tested the use of cardio. I didn't have access to the archery, but I tested I tested after the decompression injury and concussion, and I can confirm that the people who received this program of rehabilitation and participated in the interviews with the specialists, there is no such person. I haven't met specialists who think that it doesn't work. Neither patients. I didn't meet anyone in social networks as well. So the only question is the access to these programs, and this is a question for our government. My wish is for these types of adaptive sports to be accessible in all regions of Ukraine, in every town, and for people with disabilities, it is very important. And I propose to transition to the Miss Vitalina. You represent the Lisova Poliana clinic in this research. what are the results that maybe surprised you or maybe confirmed something that you knew already? Hello, everyone. I'm glad to welcome everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the opportunity to be a participant of this research, because it so happens that during this war, along with the injuries that are visible, there is a lot of injuries and traumas that are invisible. And if for physical injuries or damages, we know we have protocols and procedures. For psychological ones, we don't have a single methodology, and this question remains a subject of discussions. And since 2016, in our clinic, the team is such that we are working on different approaches to the rehabilitation programs. Initially, the adaptive types of sports, we were kind of skeptical about it. However, after the research was conducted, we have seen that this is a very nice way of. This was incredible research, and it was conducted on the basis level. I was consulting these patients both during the initial interrogation on the entry and after the program. This was beautiful. This was positive emotions. This was just one positive thing, a big positive thing. We have created a very strong community that had common interests, that the support of each other, the motivation of each other. It was ever present during this program, and this gave us an opportunity to it helped them to overcome those stresses, those negative experiences. It helped them to overcome negative emotions. It helped them unite, to raise their self-esteem, to increase their self-confidence, and to find confidence within the society. And in its turn, it helped them socialize. It permits to open their own potential by themselves. And among the veterans, there was a lot of people that were liberated from the captivity, and they were actively participating in this study, in this research. What can I say? It was a creation of space of mutual development, so to speak. I cannot give an adequate evaluation to this. Everyone involved, trainers, doctors, veterans, they didn't come just those times that they were required to. They attended this program and courses every day. They were interested. They were motivated, and this particular research of the adaptive types of sports, I see it as an instrument, as a tool that permits to integrate the veterans and the military servicemen, to reintegrate them into the society, and to feel them and to make them feel that they're important, that they're needed, that they're were there people who were skeptical about this in the beginning? Well, it was different. However, after the explanation of the reason why we are doing this, when we were underlining the importance of these activities, so that the people who didn't find themselves yet, they could realize themselves finally. And after that, there was no skeptical comments whatsoever. This whole thing could not be evaluated as negative. It is a very inspirational moment, and it's not about the stamina. It's not about force or strong men. It's about resilience. It's about survival. Miss Kateryna, I would like to engage you in this conversation. What is your experience? What changes have you seen in the veterans? Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for giving us opportunity to take part in this discussion. And also, I thank for the opportunity to be a part of this research. And I had questions initially because I'm a doctor, and the whole process of rehabilitation, and I was always interested to see if it's sufficient for the patients. And I understood that this was going to be additional load for our patients. However, after some time, I opened to this, and I have opened to this. I had my fears at first, but after selecting thoroughly patients for the cardiovascular activities, and this is a very straining activities. What's impressed me, what I was impressed with is the archery, and this type of sport. I knew about it. However, I never thought about how it could actually help to our patients. So what I saw is that it helps immensely in restoration of coordination of limbs and joints, and I saw it with my own eyes. The archery helped our patients to regain control of their bodies, to feel the possibility to control their own bodies again. And very important was the psychological aspect. They gathered together. They had basically created a community with time, and they always participated together. They had constant exchanges and mutual motivation, and this also provided some competitive component to the whole thing, to the program, which also helped. And the bow itself became something celestial for me and for our team. In our clinic, we have already decided that we will never work without the bow again. And regarding the rowing, the first lessons, the first events involving rowing, I attended them because this is a real difficult and straining load on the body, on a body of a veteran, and however, with time again we saw the motivation, we saw that people are challenging themselves to actually improve in what they were doing. And rowing, speaking about the rowing, it can not only be just an additional component in the programs of the rehabilitation, but it can be its own. It can be its own separate program. The rowing showed the absolutely incredible results for the veterans that were doing the rowing, because I could see that how the rowing was much more substantial in terms of improvement as compared to, for example, a running track, and the calories, tracking the calories, the rhythm, the psychological aspect, and the synchronicity of rowing in psychological terms cannot be evaluated highly enough, as a psychological effect of synchronicity of the rowing. And this worked out so well that we have already decided that archery stays with us forever. We're not sure about the rowing yet, but we are working on it. And these kinds of researches are very important right now. We need to spread this information that such possibilities exist for the veterans, and we need to understand that the initial rehabilitation is one thing, but long-term rehabilitation is also important, and that's where the adaptive types of sports can be implemented with great efficiency. And I would like to say that the trainers, archery trainers, that we had in Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast, they all were also impressed when they heard about these programs, and I'm very thankful for providing us the opportunity to see how efficient these sports are. Thank you for this detailed information. We have Mr. Serhiy online. He is the founder of the clinic. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be present here. I'm really glad that I took part in this research. Of course, we have been doing sports for quite some time, especially with professional sportsmen, and our clinic in 2021 had honor to prepare members of 3 different countries' Olympic teams for the Paris, and 2 of our patients became champions during the Olympic Games in Paris. So we understand what is a sport, and we know how to work with sportsmen, and we know what's efficient, what's not, and what's allowed, what's not. And we involved the trainer of the rowing sports in the clinic, and his trainees are our clients, and he's a very honorable person, and we didn't have worries about rowing. We worked with the Olympic team for archery. We saw before that how the archers are working, what's important in this sport, and we knew for sure that this is basically a cool sport, and with Ihor Salii, he was a participant, I was a doctor. During the Invictus Games, I saw how our guys were shooting and how they worked on precision improvement, and we saw the Americans how hard they are working in these sports, and that's why, of course, this research puts semicolon at what direction we have to take in our country in terms of rehabilitation. These two sports and other sports, it is a known fact that it is a multi-factor influence, basically. I recommend the Stuart Brown's book, the game, it's called Game, and you can read about multi-factor nature of a game and how it influences the brain of a person. Of course, in our clinic, we use and we had used the rowing, and thanks to our trainers, we didn't only do the rowing. We are expecting a specialized indicator that we borrowed, that we previously borrowed from the Olympic sportsmen, but now we will have our own. It will allow us to measure the pulse of our patients. It will tell us what load could be given to our patients. But of course, this is a overly professional approach. But we will be glad to also be involved with the veterans, because together we are a force, and we will move. We will move in the same direction, and we will live in this country for sure. And the question about archery, we talked about this type of sport a lot today, and this type of rehabilitation. In your experience, how the sessions passed? Thank you for the opportunity to have a word. I support all the speakers that were before me, and I would like to say that we are implementing the adaptive sports in rehabilitation for more than 3 years already, and these sessions are followed by and observed by the specialists, medical specialists. As a rule, those are psychologists. Around 500 people went through this program in 1 year, and we saw these people during the whole time, because after these sessions you can see, you can basically see with your eyes the visible changes in patients who were undergoing these types of rehabilitation. Our sessions are aiming at people who sustained concussions and barotraumas, the decompression traumas, and a lot of patients, we saw the tremor in hands, and we saw how it goes away, basically with our own eyes during the sessions, and the balance, the vestibular apparatus was showing an incredible improvement in patients, and of the injured limbs, people, the guys basically couldn't strain their hand in a way that the archer requires initially. However, after some time, we also saw that they learned how to do it, and it's great effect was the socialization and the organization of competitions, not by us but by the guys themselves. When they start, apart from sessions, they met afterwards and were doing their own competitions, during which they basically forgot that they were undergoing a rehabilitation. program. I saw one patient crying, and I asked them why were they crying, and he said, I never received a medal for my service, but in this sport I did receive a medal. That's why, and I can say that. A term archery therapy could be used for the first time. It can be used in our country, and there is also another moment that this is not a sport of high achievements. It's not something that can be massively. Maybe there is a possibility to organize much more massive competitions. It could be probably organized, but the participation of the veterans themselves and their motivation for it, the participation of those veterans that are in different locations and who don't have access to such infrastructure, they need to receive this opportunity as well. Then this is what we are aiming at right now. So that's why we are working right now on transitioning and widening our coverage. And this is basically it. Thank you. Maybe Mr. Ihor, maybe you could add something about your personal experience is very important, and of course, who tried all of this on themselves? How did it affect you? First of all, I would like to say I'm so happy. I'm happy as a kid, and I know I experienced it. And when it's supported by science, it's the best. It's the best thing ever. I will talk about a little about my trauma, about my injury. We were entering a new position. I was a company commander, and I took one of my section commanders, and we went to do a reconnaissance. We were ambushed, and we were shelled by the artillery. And I was found and evacuated quite fast. However, I had concussion. Thank God I didn't have much. I didn't have worse injuries, and however, when I arrived to the hospital, they said everything is very bad. It was a closed concussion and skull trauma, and the neurological connections were damaged, basically, and internal organs were shutting down. And when I had when the time passed, and I had to, on average, after such a period of time, people usually restore. But I had problems with reading. Basically, the focus problem was a very big problem for me. I couldn't remember the beginning of sentence, and when I started doing archery, the one single thing that I understood at first is that the focus that you require to make this shot, you have to focus just 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and you shoot. And after that, you can basically fall apart. It is hard to focus for more time than that. And however, I have to say that I was basically inhabiting the gym, and I was shooting constantly. I did 500, 1,000 shots a day after a month. But after this month, I was finally able to watch movies at home, and it affected me. It affected me in such a way that the hospital itself didn't affect me. It's about the physical condition. What gives the adaptive types of sport to a veteran? The main thing is the possibility to communicate, to be with your brothers, and the feeling of security, of safety. It is very, very important. Not the security that in terms of physical damage or shelling. When you return from combat, from the front line, you have very acute justice feeling, and each word that is said by a non-combatant it can be perceived in a very different ways. Maybe you have paid attention that the military can joke among themselves in such a way that it could lead to a fight. However, it never happens within the military collective. No civil person can be permitted to talk to a veteran in this way, and there's such things. The things that are joining, that are uniting you with the other veterans in the clinic, and makes you and the rehabilitation it provides, the way of rehabilitation during this is much more efficient. Mr. Ruslan, 2022 is very different from 2025. I remember my first interviews that I gave after the competition in America. I was even I had a kind of a reaction. People were telling me maybe you shouldn't have told those things. However, right now my conscience does not permit me to say that. However, right now I do support the people that are undergoing similar programs of rehabilitation, and it involved me in different ways in social life. I'm doing tours around hospitals. I'm talking to veterans, and I recently noticed a couple things. In order to see kids more often. And when I attend competitions, I started to take them with me. First, it started with my wife. I took her to see her more often, and now I'm taking my kids too. We have competition in Odessa right now, and my wife was actually upset that I didn't take her. She already knows other veterans, my brother-in-arms, and their wives and their kids. Understandable. There is a lot of amputees as a result of this war, and I talk a lot to Sergei Grafko. He doesn't have one upper, one lower limb. When I made acquaintance with his kids, I had to explain to her. She's 6-year-old. She never saw such things before, and I didn't know what would be the reaction. And the reaction of the kid was to give away all her candies. She wanted to help. That's what That's what was her reaction. A year and a half passed, and no shock whatsoever. She knows that it is absolutely normal. And in the neighboring house, there is this boy with prosthetic limb. Dad, and she saw him, and she said, Dad, look, is it your friend? And I told her, no, not yet, but wait. And I went and I talked to this person about all these things, games, Invictus games. And what is really cool is that the number of people that were engaged in this research. One of the problems is actually engaging people, engaging veterans in these programs, because it's actually quite a problem to make a veteran take part in this program, because what I see is always the same people during the competition. However, new people need to be involved. Mr. Ruslan, yes, as sport for the veterans, everybody's used to determine this effect of team, effect of community, a veteran community. Ihor showed you what is a sport for him. You saw his eyes, right? And the commander's order, appeal, a decree, or a psychologist lecture. You can basically understand what is more important or more motivating for a veteran. The key role in the rehabilitation is the motivation of a person. And when a person loses a limb or they sustain a heavy injury, very important to understand if a person do they have any kind of plans for the future, an outlook for the future? Of course not, because this is not where their thoughts are after sustaining injuries, and this is where the sport come in, and the possibility, the opportunity to to do more tomorrow than you are capable of today. It's addictive, and it's like a drug. And so here's the story. When we look at the veterans, when we look at their interest to be involved in this or that type of sport, we had a golf tournament yesterday. I saw people who liked it very much. I saw people who would not be playing it, but some people, and in terms of rehabilitation, both physical and mental, it is very important the focus exercises, or somebody wants to play football, others. For example, we have planned a boxing in our central sport palace in Kiev. This is going to be people who lost their lower limbs, and they will be boxing, and this will. I hope this will help these people to find themselves and provide them with the feeling that they are not isolated. And we will be so. This influence to each their own, as they say. But Alexei, do you remember him? She is already organizing matches between ministers and veterans, and a person has returned to the team. The person regained a goal, and this philosophy just kind of transitions to the rest of their life, the social component, everything. This influence, how should we understand it? On one part, it's a component that we are doing research on. The another one is a social component that is quite difficult to measure, and the veterans who are stepping on the arena of Invictus games, and they are being applauded, standing applaud, and they receive basically standing applause, and this is something incredible for these people. However, for me, it's a change in philosophy for the civil population. Because we didn't have this before. Let's see. Since 2014, I remember when I started working in the Ministry of Defense. One of the tasks that we had is formation of positive image of a veteran. What is this? It's nonsense. It's not. Is it efficient? No, it's not efficient. And but however, what we are doing now is fulfilling that goal, that same goal. Basically, it's building an image of a veteran, and I like the practice that we have right now. I invite champions to different competitions for people with disabilities. We are having representatives from different countries, from different sports, from different and the people who started to attempt this sport, you can see that a person starts to perceive their environment totally different. They open up, and you can talk to them about their injuries finally. And the sport is a complex of different influences, and our task today is to standardize, systematize, and put it on the rails. And thank you, everyone, and to my colleague. I would like to give the mic to the floor. We have head of the Civil Society, no barriers, and I know it's a very important topic for you. Look, Olga, what's happening? 5 people, each of them. There is this rule: one speech, one opinion. But how many different opinions, thoughts we heard today? We are trying to transition a person that were deemed as a disabled person to a status of a person who is able. You know, it's like you're able to be proud. You're able to be strong. You're able to be an example for others, and it's very cool. And this was my first thought. And for me, the research is always has to have a goal. And for me, those people who faced the adaptive sports for the first time, we were kind of skeptical. And when I went and when I went with the proposition of implementation of the adaptive sports to the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Defense, nobody knew what it is. And right now there is a lot of people who understand that this is a very cool thing. I was in Ivano-Frankivsk recently, and I talked to the people, the football players, veteran football players, and I saw people with crutches who were playing football, and they looked so energetically. And I asked them, what are the main problems with in general? And they said, we want to engage more people. How can we engage more people? And once you play a match for the first time, no one quits after that, because the people are regaining the feeling they feel strong after these programs, and I think we need to engage all possible channels of information distribution in order to spread this program all over the country, because your speeches were so impressive, so inspiring. I observed how people are handling the bow, and for me it was something out of this world. I never thought that I could see that this type of sport is improving so much the rehabilitation for the veterans, and I see people, other people, who are alone, who are isolated, and who don't know what to do. And I think this is exactly the place where they can find the resolution for themselves. And I support all of you. Let's do this. Let's do this. Thank you very much. Maybe some other comments or questions, please. Hello. A very interesting presentation, very cool research, very grounded, and a lot of room for thought. I do work in the rehabilitation center in Lviv, and when we started, one of the steps was the adaptive sports, and it was just not because we wanted to do it, but because veterans came to us and proposed to, and the question was why archery? Because it was a mystery for me, and after the training that was done for our residents, when I saw what it is doing for our community, I saw how engaging this is. So I was my question is, why this direction, why this component? Why this sport? And we also organized the non-barrier swim session that gathered together hundreds of participants. So thank you for your question, Ms. Ann. I will start, and I will give mic to Oksana. We do want actually to scale up this research, and we want to compare different types of sports and how they influence the rehabilitation programs. And I will give mic to Oksana because she was the initiator of these sports and implementation. I hope she is with us still. so that I can start answering this question. When we just started this research, the Oksana recommended these two types of sports because they're cardinally different. Archery helps focusing. It's static. And the rowing is cardiovascular load. It's the dynamic, and that's why it was important to join these two types of sports in the program of rehabilitation. And we had three groups for one sport, another, and for both. Can I add? Yes. As a practice showed, Miss Oksana didn't. She made a good call, and it showed us that she knows her stuff, and all indicators across all groups in this research showed improvement in terms of depression and other mental problems. The rowing showed best indicators in physical improvement, and it confirms basically. Anything else? I think that it is important that these two types are accessible. If I am in a local community, I cannot build a pool. However, I can always buy a bow for them. 50,000 hryvnias, well, it's not that cheap. Well, I mean, the pool is much more expensive than that, right? So I address to all the rehabilitation centers, stop buying those huge devices, computers, scary computers that are that cost billions or millions of hryvnias. And start buying bowls, archeries, and other stuff. And those devices are luxury. Can we scale up the adaptive sport? How can we do it? What are the ways? How can we affect towards the scaling up of this program, of this way of rehabilitation? Look, we can definitely scale it up. And we need to take into account, as a country that is taking care of their spendings and incomes, and we see today after this research, this restores the coordination, and this requires cardio. So everything is already in place. We just need to add. We just need to add these things to already existing programs. So when I do visits of clinics, I see all these machinery that they are buying, insanely expensive. They lock it up and don't use it because of how expensive it is. And we need to understand that there is cheaper ways of rehabilitation so that's why we went to those people who understand how these programs should be working. So the space for improvement is there. We also need to make sure that we have enough trainers who are knowledgeable about these programs, and this is where this is the direction I would take. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Tian. A very, very important message. So, in conclusion, the StratCom was one of the participants of the research. We started the program of the trainer qualification increase improvement across all the country. So we had such an interest shown that a trainer found me at night, and he woke me up, and he was asking me, how do I get to this program? I want to go there. Where do I need to go? And so the interest was very, very high, is very high, and indeed, in conclusion, there are high things like elite things, and there are ordinary things. And we had a dialogue with one of the commanders, veterans, and he asked for a possibility for to rehabilitate on the basis of Sport Life company. I would like to rehabilitate my boys, and they agreed to provide their infrastructure basically for the programs of rehabilitation. And what we faced, we asked if the trainers know how to talk to veterans, and if they're knowledgeable about these programs, what things are allowed to be said, what things are not allowed to be said. And it turned out that no one knows how to work ideal world cannot be built, and we will be tripping a lot, but we are focused, and we will support the creation of infrastructure. We will launch a grant program. The president did a tour across small communities, and the guys were like, we received your money, but how can we spend it? The world is not ideal. You understand it when you go visit small towns, and what is important for me is to have a shower, in a gym, because for a veteran, I saw one gym. I will not be providing details. And I had a training session. I lifted, and I was going to go to shower, and there was no shower. So these are the things. These are the challenges: resources, trainers, skills, experience, educational programs. This is key, and the preparation of trainers. And how many people in our country can teach a veteran to shoot a bow? This was a rhetorical question. This same situation you can see in other spheres, and the volleyball, basketball, same thing. Who is going to train? When? How? And so we needed a whole year to first attempts in the Lviv. There's a cool team. Why it's cool? Because one, money. Second, Poland is near, and the people can play this sport in Poland. And I have a question: how many people without limbs do they have, and how many do we have? And when we are talking about, for example, visiting after a basketball competition, we want to go to Poland, to Amsterdam, to attend competitions, and now we can organize it. It's really easy. So the most important is for you to come. And they are like, but we are not capable, and they say because their level is this high and our level is this low. They haven't, but I am quite confused about this. Why it is so? Because we should be the a country that's taking care of the people with disabilities connected to the combat injuries, and in hockey club Sokol, people with amputations, they're learning how to do sleds, how to do skis and hockey. We understand that we don't have much chance to win a match against those countries that were taking care of the people with disabilities before. A few words about the project. I would like to only add a little and thank to IREX organization for supporting adaptive, for implementation of adaptive types of sports in rehabilitation programs. Yes, indeed, the StratCom suits the development of veteran sport from different sides, and this is a pilot project of trainers training, and we have seen what is the demand. Basically, we knew about it before, and we know, and we want, and we support the scale up. I would like to thank everyone for today's conversation. It was very fundamental, in my opinion, and I hope that we will be able to scale it up and launch. And the efficiency was confirmed and scientifically confirmed. And I would like to thank to all our armed forces, to the veterans, both men and women, and we are. Thank you for being capable to gather together. And dear guests, please QR code, go and register at the Match of Equality. It will be happening this Sunday. We will be sincerely happy to see you all. Thank you.